Do you know any grumpy old women? I do. I've met a few. Well, probably more than a few, but yeah. We've got three more in Australia now. But these three are going to please us, not displease us. These particular grumpy old women have one thing going for them. They're all very, very funny, but they really do get grumpy. One of them is in the studio with me. Her name is Jenny Eclair.
Good morning.
I've spoken to you on the telephone before.
Oh, we did. We had a lovely chat. I remember down the line. I was in South East London and you were here with your glorious view. You're very spoilt, John. May I just say, because I have my own radio show in London. People could listen online when I get back. It's Saturday mornings. And my radio station, my studio, is a pigsty. You're very, very spoilt.
Did anybody ever tell you you can really talk?
I can. The trouble is stopping us. There's three of us. You're very lucky, actually. They're separating us this morning because, en masse, we're a bit of a handful. So what they've done is they've sort of picked us off one by one and we've been sent in separate directions. But it's a joy to be here.
What do you get grumpy about?
Everything. I'm slightly grumpy about the fact that Australia, so far, people have been a bit nice to us. I come from a very rough bit of southeast London, and I'm used to sort of having a bit of a fight on my hands every day. Actually, I think I attract mad people a bit like a magnet. We were waiting for a cab to come here from over. I don't know where I'm living, to be quite honest. I've got dreadful jet lag. I'm very confused. And a drunk man came up to me and just went, "Rah!" in my ear. And but I'm sort of like, I've got quite good reflexes, so I just turned around and went, "Rah!" back. I enjoyed that. I think grumpy old women do get off on being grumpy. I think it's a sort of it's a form of sport, really. In the show we have a piece called Get Me the Manager, which my friend Dilly Keane does, and it's about having a massive tantrum in a supermarket. I think there's a sort of, what happens with women is you kind of can regress, and I think we've reached toddler stage. You know, when you're very old, you regress right back to being a baby and you just end up dribbling and eating mashed banana. But there is this marvellous stage when you're in your sort of 40s and 50s where it's quite easy to regress back to being a toddler. And you do that sort of thing where you demand attention. And often, like a toddler, it's because you're hungry or you're tired.
And what makes you grumpiest?
Everything. Well, for a start, right, in my hotel, there's a funny smell. I've told them I need some Glade plug-in air fresheners. There's a funny musty smell, and it's not me. I know that. I recognise my own smell. And so there's that. And they haven't put enough coat hangers in the
Isn't
wardrobe.
that infuriating? That
is infuriating. They're really irritating coat hangers that you're not allowed to remove.
And you can't get your jacket on
you
the
can't
thing.
get, and I've had to heap all my clothes. It looks like I've got the Hunchback of Notre Dame hiding in my wardrobe because everything's just heaped up there. I know, yesterday, this is something, make me shake my fist. I bought a very unripe avocado. There's nothing worse than disappointing fruit and vegetables.
Nothing, but particularly avocado. It's like rock.
Well, yes, and it sort of looked ripe, it felt ripe, and then within its skin it was this hard, and it's an appalling taste as well. You wouldn't realise what a sort of bad taste sensation an unripe avocado can be.
It's easier to eat the pip.
It was disappointing.
The whole thing.
Yes, and I got yesterday I had one of those moments where I suddenly felt it's the jet lag all caught up on me, and I'd gone out for a stroll and I went in the wrong direction and I got a blister and I sat down in Woolies and I had a little cry in Woolies, and I had to buy some cheap socks.
Did anybody say to you, "What are you crying about, my dear?"
Fat white woman, why do you weep? No, nobody came to my age. You see, this is another thing, isn't it? Is that once you pass 40, you do become invisible. You've got the most glorious girl working here.
Beautiful.
Isn't she? There's a beauty here. And there's a bit of me that sort of, I want to look at her and I want to sort of think, there's a bit of me that thinks, well done for being so glorious. But then there's another bit of me that wants to shake her for being so lovely.
Well, you're quite welcome to do that.
And slap her legs, because she's got them out. She's got her long brown legs out.
She's beautiful.
Yes, she's beautiful. And there's a bit of me that wants to go, well done. But, one day you'll be 48 too. Actually, no, I'm not even 48. I'm 47. I don't know why I've done that to myself. But, that is the sort of little bit of spite that runs through the grumpy old woman.
Do you get really teed off with age?
I think that what happens is that I used to be rather glorious. I've got the photographs to prove it. And I think that sort of the going off process, the withering on the bough, the sort of rotting and fermenting, and Yeah, it's sad. I sort of, what you have to do is you have to take your glasses off and stand further and further away from the mirror. And there's certain lighting situations whereby you look better. I'm good in fog. It's slightly disappointing. It is disappointing to sort of, and I always thought that I would age more beautifully, that I'd be one of those sophisticated sort of icy blondes, a bit like, oh, I don't know, Grace Kelly or something, and I'm still a sort of slightly dumpy, sweaty, cross, dropping everything and forgetting stuff blonde.
You're not dumpy.
I'm a bit dumpy, actually. I am. I disguise it quite well.
You certainly do.
Thank
No,
you
you
very
do-
much.
no, you don't.
You're like a big old cowboy, aren't you? Sort of rangy. Yeah.
A big old cowboy.
Big old cowboy in golden headphones.
Not too much of the old.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I do apologise.
People are sensitive. You've got to understand. People are sensitive.
No, we've reclaimed it. It's now, a glorious thing to be old.
Tell me this: when you go out to dinner, and I'm sure you do frequently, do you get really teed off when nobody passes the salt or the pepper?
Yes, of course. Although, you know what, I'm the face of less salt in our country. I've just done a government campaign to eat less salt, so I'm actually not allowed to reach for the salt in public, because if I do, people sort of start saying, "You've done that before," etc., etc. There are bigger things that are more important. Yes, there's the sort of, that is annoying, but then the grubby fork and
Awful.
the stained glass, and the waiters who don't wait. Who don't do anything and then expect tips. The worst thing is, when sometimes you go into bars and you just ask for a drink, and that's their job to serve you, and then you give them the money and they hand you your change back in a saucer, and basically by handing your change back in a saucer, they're saying, I want some of this money, and you're meant to sort of just take a bit of it, but I take it all. I'm not tipping just for that.
That's mean.
Yeah, I'm mean. I can get meaner than that as well.
That's mean.
Yes. I do tip. I'm a very, very generous tipper if people have, made an effort for me. But they've got to jump through a hoop or do something, not just a sort of merest minimum. I'm not tipping for that.
What are you drinking there?
I'm having a weak black tea. I like my tea like I like my men.
Weak and black?
Weak and black, no, not really. Any which way. No, so yes, just general everyday little disappointments are what get the grumpy old. I think a lot of it is actually service related, when you don't get good service, and there's tiny little daily disappointments, because when you get to our age, I'm obviously a lot younger than you, but when you get to a certain age.
You didn't have to say that.
I did. I had to.
You just were being a bitch.
I had to say it, John.
You just wanted to be a bitch, that's all.
It's my job. No, this is that sort of thing when you have to treat yourself. Food becomes very important, especially like me. I've given up smoking, and you sort of get yourself all ready and you cook a lovely meal, and then you haven't got any tomato ketchup, and it's all spoiled.
Well, it's spoiled with tomato ketchup.
Well, I like a little dollop now.
Do you
and
dip
again.
chips in tomato sauce?
I don't. I've got an evil chip hand. I'm very worried about it, because my left hand, I used to smoke with my left hand. That was my smoking hand. And once I've given up smoking, it's become the evil crisp hand or chip hand. I've got no control over it. All of a sudden, it'll sneak out of control, and it'll grab for the crisp, grab for the chips. I get very upset by the evil crisp hand. The other hand, of course, is the evil white wine Chardonnay hand. And sometimes I lose control of them both, and before I know it, I'm knocking back the Chardonnay and stuffing my face with chips and crisps. What can a woman do?
All this started out as a television show, didn't it?
A beautifully produced television show by one of my best friends, a woman called Judith Holder, who is the brains behind Grumpy Old Women on the television. And she and I had the spontaneous idea simultaneously. We've decided on this, otherwise we will end up in court, that we would write the live show. Originally we were going to do a man-woman show, but guess what? The blokes just couldn't get it together. I actually offered my services to one of the grumpy old men from the TV series. I said, listen, why don't we write...
I think they tried it here. I think they tried Grumpy Old Men here.
Really? Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Didn't?
No, you see, you've got nothing to be grumpy about, you old blokes here. So anyway, it ended up being a women-only thing. And
Yeah, all right.
we didn't realise quite how many grumpy old women there were in the UK. I mean, it's just like an army. And they all come out, and what's really funny is you do the sort of tour in the provinces of the UK. And I remember leaving the theatre in Bristol one night, and we got into a minicab going back to a hotel. and the driver was physically frightened for his life. He said to me, why are all these women, why are there all these women on the street? Look at them, there's thousands of middle-aged women, what's they doing here? And it was as if there'd been a sort of Take That concert, and suddenly it had fallen into some kind of time warp or something, and 30 years later they'd all emerged, because it is quite unusual to see so many women in of a certain age all out together, all having a laugh. It really is quite a joy.
Tell me, was the television show structured, or did you just fly into it?
What happens with a TV show is they basically point a microphone at your face and say, what do you think about such and such? And you just go on and on and on and on and on. Then somebody has the job of editing you down to make some sense. And, I mean, you are a talking head on the television thing. And then Judith goes away and structures it beautifully. And she sort of supplies a narrative behind it. And I think she really is. She's very good at that. And then, but the live show is much madder. It is madder. It's not.
And it is structured.
It is structured. Yes, it's a sort of choreographed piece. It's quite a big piece. There is dancing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, middle-aged women can be seen dancing. That's when people flinch. And it's not a man-bashing thing. The men are safe. The men are safe and welcome. Very welcome. Actually, do you know what? If I was a lonely middle-aged man, maybe divorced or whatever, and I was looking for a new girlfriend, I would go along to the Capitol Theatre in Sydney, because there's hordes of women, hordes of girlies, and you might be able to pull, who knows?
But they're probably all grumpy.
Yeah, I know, but men like grumpy old women.
No.
Yeah, they do, because then they've got something to do, they've got something to live for, to cheer the old woman up, you know.
How come that women get grumpy and men don't?
Men do get grumpy, but they can't sustain it in the same way. And they're more easily pleased because they're quite simple creatures in actual fact. All you need to do is to cheer a man up is give him a toffee or a shed, you know, some nails to sort out in a jam jar or something like that. See, men can do that. You know, women aren't that simple. You can't say to a woman, I tell you what, go sit in a shed for an hour and listen to the cricket. That'll cheer you up. Man's cheered up by that, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes. Women much more complicated. They have to go and buy shoes.
Are you married?
I'm not married because he never asked me. He forgot. Can you imagine? I've been with the same bloke for 25 years. Yeah. And we did breakfast television this morning. They asked the same question. I think it's sort of like, it's almost a veiled, you are such an old boot. Surely you can't possibly be married. But actually, the long-suffering St. Jeff of Camberwell, I'm with him. Yeah.
Do you have children?
I have an 18-year-old daughter who is the light and joy of my life, and I'd very much love her to be here. She loves Australia. She came out to Melbourne with me when I did the comedy festival some years ago, but she's got very big exams, and she's obviously a child genius. So
of course,
of course, I had to leave her. But she sent me an email last night. She really made me laugh. She makes me laugh more than anything.
I hope you enjoy your stay.
We are doing so far. We're having a lovely time, thank you.
But you only got here on Saturday or something, didn't you?
Flew in yesterday morning. I'm dribbling with jet lag. I have the carpet sometimes comes up to meet my face. And but I'm quite enjoying it. I'm going to use jet lag as an excuse. I might go shoplifting this afternoon. And I'm just so jet lagged I forgot to get my purse out. That's going to be my excuse. I'm going to go to that really posh shop. Is it David Jones?
Yes.
I like the look of that.
Nice shop. Oh, you'll have a good time there.
I'll have a good spree in there.
All right. Well, have a happy stay while you're here. I know you've been to Australia before, but not Sydney, huh?
Not Sydney.
Well, there's a lot to see.
The flesh pot of Australia.
Oh, you will love it.
I do already.
Yeah, and there's a lot to see. And the show is on at the Capitol Theatre on starting next Tuesday, 1 week from today, and it goes through to the 29th of April. Then Brisbane, it's Lyric Theatre South Bank, 1st of May, through to Sunday, 6th of May. Melbourne at the Princess Theatre, 8th of May to Sunday, 20th of May. So we have your company for quite a long time. And then you're going to Perth.
Yes, they've extended us. We're going to Perth.
That's to the Burswood
You can't
Theatre.
get rid of us.
No, well, just this sheer moment I've spent with you indicates to me that I don't want to get rid of you. You can come in here.
Joy.
You can come in here whenever you want.
Oh no, you say that.
Yeah.
I will take that as you meaning it.
Yeah.
And you will get sick of the sight of me.
No, I won't. Come in whenever you want. You might have to work a little. Might have to do a commercial or talk to some.
I'm very expensive.
Mad people.
My voice is my fortune. I do lots of voiceovers at home.
I bet you do.
I love them.
Have a nice rich voice. Jenny, thank you very much for coming to see me, and I do hope you enjoy it. And really, as they say, boring old men say, my door is always open.
Well, thank you very much. I might take full advantage of it.
Please do. You're very welcome.
Cheers, because normally I have to scratch and beg. Let me in!
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
And we'll remind our listeners of the various dates of Grumpy Old Women